Am I live? Am I live? What's up with it out there, all y'all in social media world? If y'all scared, you better go get you a German Shepherd, because it's the Is What It Is show. It's the show where we tell y'all like it is. I know y'all thought we was gone somewhere, but we in there like some booty hair tonight. So all you snows, crows, tacos, Oreos, and weirdos, welcome to the Is What It Is show, where you can't be no faker, shaker, or candlestick maker. And I got the crew with me from the north side. Yeah, it's my cuz, Bub Love, my boy T Jizzle, and my dog, Bruce West, in the house tonight. And y'all know it's vet day, so guess what? 1, 2, 3, 4. What the hell are we fighting for? Walk up in this mud. Yes, sir. And we got my girl Ivonne up in the house. She gonna come on and tell us about that special Veterans Day. But guess what? I done gone from the corona shot to that booster shot.
You rocking and rolling now.
Bob, release the people up in here.
Man.
Oh, man.
Boy, I got a lot going on. What's up, Real?
Yeah, you do.
Man. But
what's up with it out there?
Hey, I got one question for you, Real.
It's Thursday on the Is What It Is show, and we got the soldiers tonight. Release me, Bub.
I already did. So, Real, I got a question, Real. So this how he got fined last week where he didn't come on, just because it is. So what song are you listening to right now?
I'm listening to them No Limit Soldiers, baby. Hell, I guess that's what it is.
So what song you think we're listening to?
What was y'all the same when I was? I hope.
We was listening to that voice that was in Arkham Asylum.
Yeah. The music didn't play tonight?
Hell no.
At all.
Well, that's all right. I still come up in this
bitch. Okay. Yeah, you did. Like,
Order in the court.
But he went back old school. You ain't hear what he said, huh? That hut 2, 3, 4.
3, 4, yeah.
What the hell we fighting for?
But my thing is like this. Yeah, we missed all that, cuz we sure appreciate you though.
Did you?
We felt energy, yeah.
He did it acapella.
He did it. Yeah, it was acapella. Yeah.
Guess what, though, baby? We don't need no music to make this thing jump up in here. I thought I told you.
Wow. To jump up in here.
We just go out on that on the end.
I guess so.
By then, we need to take a collection office so we get this pawn shop equipment fixed.
I told you I got a warranty on this stuff.
We need to go cash in on it because it did not work tonight. All right, man. How y'all doing, man?
Good.
Good. So, Bruce, you asked last week how your week was going, and you feel like it went fast, right? Last week.
Yeah.
So my week went fast this week, anticipating tonight.
Really?
Yeah, because we have a super special guest. As a matter of fact, I think one of our number one fans of the It Is What It Is podcast, because she's on.
Yeah. We got to get her a trophy.
Yeah, we got to get her. Yeah, we have to.
We got it, man. The shirt man. Yeah, the shirt man. I ain't gonna call no name, but his name is TJ Harris. So the shirt man, he probably gonna get us a shirt in the mail one day, you know. But
one day,
we're gonna have a special package and everything, man.
Okay, cool.
And in honor tonight, we might do a camo.
A camo. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Man.
That'll work. Can we get a camo halter top? And on the back it say jam. I'll mess with y'all. Okay. Let me pray so we get back on track. All right, here we go. Heavenly Father, thank you once again for allowing us to have a good time and just be with our friends, just enjoy and have this conversation. And let something be said or done tonight to lift you up in our process, and also be able to go out and touch someone in learning, and also being able to connect with the process that somebody else has. Lord, we just thank you once again for letting us be fluid in our conversation, be free of chlorine in our conversation, and also be unpasteurized. So where we just have a real live talk and just a conversation between friends to enlighten us on what's going on, because we know it is what it is. So we just thank you once again. Just lift everyone here and their families and opportunities in front of them. Heavenly Father, just let there be flourished away. Give you all the glory in the end. We just pray this thing in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. So back to what I was saying before. This is I think our number one fan who chimes into the Is What It Is podcast, and she asks very serious questions, and we use that in our material. So we hope she don't stop chiming in and coming on, because we need you to make our show a little longer. No, I'm playing. But just in the process of just getting someone in here. So as you know, if you read the little advertisements, is Veterans Day today, to where we're putting a different twist on Veterans Day, to where we're not necessarily focusing on the veteran, but we focus on a caregiver with the veteran. So it's just something that's a whole different other side of the fold that we don't think about at all or quite often. It's an amazing story she has, and she's a good friend of ours. This is one person that I look up to for strength, and and seeing the dedication and love, drive, focus, and completion, and dedication that she has. So it's something that I hold dear to my heart. And I watch her from afar. She doesn't know this, but I watch her from afar, and it gives me the opportunity to believe that you can keep going forward and just do what you're anointed to do, and also commissioned to do. So I can appreciate her on that. I don't know if she's listening or not, but I'm saying that now to where it's just I love her to death. But we're gonna bring her in, and Rev, let's get it started, man. Let me stop.
I don't know if this music working. Is this music out? Can y'all hear this music?
Hell
Negative. No, man.
No music, but guess what? I don't need no music to make this thing pop. Y'all, we got a special guest coming up on the Is What It Is show tonight. The girl know how to make big red beans and rice with a little texture in them. Y'all, let's give it up for my girl Ivonne, and she come up in the Is What It Is show.
Oh man.
Jesus, you had me laughing.
Welcome, Ivonne. I'm
sorry.
Thank
you, guys.
Welcome.
I don't know what going on with the music tonight.
That's all right. We discuss your contract after this.
Yeah.
Layaway.
We discuss your contract right after this show. So just hold tight.
All that did was allow us to use more funds for another part of the budget. No, we gotta buy his stuff now. We gotta buy most of him.
That's how we gonna get Ivonne's hoodie for him.
Sorry, Ivonne.
You're all good, Rev. You're all good.
Hey, you still got time to make up for it. You still got time to make
up for it. If you just happen to randomly play something during this interview, it would be awesome.
It's all good. Yeah, it's all good. Yeah. But before we get to Ivonne, we gotta tell everyone, make sure you go to the It Is What It Is podcast on YouTube, like it, share it, and also if you're on Facebook, share this while we're talking, and also just share it out, because this is going to be a very, very interesting process with Ivonne. So welcome, Ivonne. Really appreciate you getting on. It's an honor and pleasure for us to have you on.
Thank you so much, guys. It's an honor to be here. For once, I don't have to watch and type in and hope that it gets in on time before the topic changes. So I appreciate it.
It's because you are the topic now. So you can't miss. You are the topic.
Yeah. And Ivonne, I'm gonna say this. I'm a man of many hats, and I only bring out the Cowboys hats just for special people.
I wish you wouldn't have.
I wish you wouldn't have.
I wish you wouldn't have.
It just seems right. It's America's team. It's on the right,
No, it's not.
No, it's not. We'll let you roll with that.
That's today. Yeah.
Roll on up out of here.
Just say Stars and Stripes, man. Just say Stars and Stripes. Don't even mention that C word.
Oh boy.
I don't even see the star. It's like camouflaged in there.
Yeah.
No,
He's on mute. So
see somebody 100. See,
that's Denise with that. That's the reason why she don't. That's the reason why she don't. Yes.
Oh goodness. But okay, let's get this started. So we have a special Veterans Day program tonight, and Ivonne is the other flip side of the Veterans Day I was speaking of, to where your husband is actually the veteran, correct?
Correct.
Of course. And so, but you're a caregiver for your husband. We get into that story in a second. But let's focus on the Veterans Day process in general. So we have Bruce, who has something for us for Veterans Day, and here we go. Did you know?
Did you know?
Did you know? So tell us what we need to know about Veterans Day, man.
Well, to begin with, Veterans Day originated as Armistice Day on November 11th, 1919. Was the first anniversary of the end of World War I. Congress passed a resolution in 1926 for annual observance, and November 11th became the national holiday beginning in 1938. Know your history, because it is what it is.
It is what it is. Thank you, Bruce. That was pretty.
That was all right, Bruce. Great guy.
I can't read.
man, it looked like he learned something from coaching the TARDIS in junior high.
Right.
Keep it up,
Exactly.
Shout out to Jason the
Absolutely.
Jason and Tara, and I forget the younger sister's name anyway. But anyway, yeah. What's up, y'all?
So before we get into the veterans process, we want to know more about Ivonne. So I'm gonna put this picture up. Who is this person?
That is me, senior year. That was prom 1996.
Right. So that was after the argument, right? Or before?
That was after the argument. Yes. The infamous argument.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't. That's the next show.
The next show.
So Ivonne, tell me about that 18-year-old getting ahead of college and just and attending SFA, correct? With
2 years later, but yes.
Yeah, exactly. So tell me about that 18-year-old Ivonne. Like, what's her roots?
Good Lord. Okay. Grew up in Humboldt. I'm originally from Puerto Rico. So in my house, keeping our culture, keeping the language, keeping all of that was super important. My dad was super strict. Super strict. I spent probably half of my high school career grounded because I pushed every limit I was ever given.
No.
Exactly. But 18-year-old Ivonne had her entire life ahead of her. I didn't know. I had an idea of what I wanted to study in college, but not really. Because growing up, I wanted to be a heart surgeon. Well, when I got into high school, I was like, I don't have the discipline. So let's find something more in my wheelhouse. Still fascinated with medicine, with the human body, the functions, all of that stuff. But let's keep it a little bit more real for me. And it wasn't until about a year and some change later that someone said, you know what, you have a really good voice for radio. And I'm like, you know what, I could totally see myself doing that. So I transferred to SFA and I majored in communications, radio, television, broadcasting. I worked at the campus radio station. I got in trouble.
Yes.
By someone's during one of my remote events in that radio station.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I forgive you. But that was what I saw myself doing. I knew what I didn't want to do is that I didn't want to be a teacher because that's what my mom did. That's what my aunts did. That's what my girlfriends did. And I was like, I got to be different. I'm going to go into radio. I'm going to be super famous and we'll go from there.
Okay.
So after graduation from college, I was like, Houston, here I come, big radio. Yeah, no. It was hard. It was hard. It was hard to even get a foot in without some sort of internship at one of those big stations. So I did substitute teaching until I was able to find something that I loved. Well, turns out that what I loved was teaching. My first day of substitute teaching, I substitute taught a 9th grade drama class. And I have never had that much fun ever. Like right then and there, I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be an educator to this age group. So I went back and got my teaching certificate and then got my first job in 2003 as a real life individual independent teacher.
Okay.
So yeah, that's me in a nutshell in those few years.
Yeah, that young, vibrant. Well, you're still young and vibrant, but just that.
That's questionable.
You know what I mean. But just in the process, just the starting out in life. So what was you think? And then when did you get married?
I met Anthony the summer before I started my teaching job. So 2003 is I met him that July. Okay. And then we officially went on our first date like August 1st. And then from then on, we were inseparable. And then maybe a week or two later is when he decided, oh, by the way, I leave for boot. Or no, it was like, I don't know, a week later. He was like, oh yeah, I leave for boot camp on the 18th. And I was just sitting there going, I'm sorry, what? He's like, yeah, I signed up to go to the Navy and I leave on August 18th. And so I was like, okay. So we just made the best of the time that we had. And when he left, I dropped him off at the, wherever they congregate before they ship him off. And he was like, I'm willing to put in the work on this relation. I'm willing to do what it takes to make this relationship work. And I just kind of said, well, you know what? So am I. And so he wrote letters. We wrote letters back and forth for over a year. And then I went to his graduation from boot camp. And that just kind of solidified the fact that we definitely were meant to be together. He was just, he allowed me to be, but allowed me even then to just be me. And he knew what he was getting himself into. He knew I was boisterous. He knew I was independent. He knows that I could make friends with a wall. And he was not. He was much more introverted than I was. And I think that's just kind of why we worked.
Yeah.
And so we just kind of did the work. Thankfully, his parents worked for Continental at the time, now United. And so he got every long weekend that he had, he would fly home or I would fly up to Chicago and visit him. And so we just made it work.
Okay. That was a courtship.
Yes.
In processing time. That's pretty awesome that you all saw that process and it was worth doing in going through it. So when did you all get married?
We got married the first time in 2005.
Okay.
In New Orleans. We did a quick civil ceremony before his first deployment.
Okay.
And so we drove to New Orleans, got hitched, came back, didn't tell really anybody. There were select few people that knew, but it wasn't, advertised. Yeah. And then we had our big, soiree. You were there.
Yes, I was.
Our big wedding after he got back from his first deployment.
Okay.
So that was June 2006.
2006. Okay. And we want to pause for a second. We'll shout out to Kelly Graham. Of course, we know her as that's Kelly Gotha, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So we know it's Kelly Gotha, Kia Smith, Kiki, chiming in. We got Shannon Allen, which is
Shannon is my HLP. She's my hetero life partner.
That's our brother. Okay. Yeah, that's a coon.
Yes, he is also a military caregiver, and she and I met in Tampa when both of our husbands were being treated at the VA in Tampa.
Okay.
Had a daughter that's 9 months younger than AJ. So.
Okay. Yeah. So speaking of AJ, Anthony the first, and him being deployed, where did he go, or what was that process?
His first deployment, he went to. He went to Fallujah. He went.
What's up, dude?
Fallujah, Iraq.
The picture, man.
And so he left July 4th of the first deployment was before the big wedding. So he left July 4th of 05, came back January 29th of 06.
Okay.
And then we got married, and then we moved to California, and we were living because he was stationed out in 29 Palms, California.
Okay.
And then he left for his second deployment January 29th of 07.
Okay.
Also to in and around the Fallujah area.
Okay.
So.
Okay. That was his second deployment. So
second deployment. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it was a total of 2 because it was on the second one that he was injured.
Okay. Well, tell us about that. Well, before you and him being injured, was there so he came back home, and when I'm trying to figure out when you were when AJ was conceived.
AJ was conceived. So we did the hibbity dibbity before his second deployment. No.
So that's okay. So it's kind of the reason why I ask. It's almost like a
timing. I get it.
Yeah, a timing, a storybook movie type thing process. So just okay. So now when his second deployment, what happened?
When Anthony left for his first deployment, I was already pregnant with AJ.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
So he is his father. And then so he was deployed. I was teaching in California at the time. And so he left, like I said, January 29th, and April 20th, it was a Friday. It was April 20th, 2007. And it was a Friday, and I had left campus during my conference period to go pick up lunch because I didn't bring lunch with me. And so when I got back to my classroom, I had a few minutes, and my phone rang from base, and I knew the number. It was the first prefix and the first 3-digit beginning. So I knew it was from base, and I assumed it was my girlfriend that worked at the hospital. She was a corpsman and worked at the hospital. And when I answered, I said hello, and the first thing I heard is this Anthony Thompson's wife? Or no, is this? I don't remember his HM3, I think was his rank at the time. Is this HM3 Thompson's wife? And I said, yes. Who is this? And he was like, this is Chief, I can't even remember his name. I have some information about your husband. And right then and there, my heart just sank. Because at the time, I didn't know that if he didn't survive an incident, they would contact you in person.
Right.
I mean, you just don't think about that at the time. So my heart sank, and I just went, oh my God, what happened to my husband? And he's like, ma'am, I have to read you an official. And I said, don't ma'am me, just tell me what happened to my husband. Is my husband okay? He's like, ma'am, I need you to calm down. And I was like, don't effing tell me to calm down. Tell me what's wrong with me. Yes, sir.
You said
some bad words.
I can say them.
Did you say some bad words to the people? I can't even see you saying no bad words. Finish your story.
Oh, I dropped several F-bombs in that conversation. Oh, wow. That's like my favorite word.
Yeah.
So I basically. She's telling the truth. So I basically just said, so he was, hey, ma'am, I'm trying to tell you. And so he read me this official, whatever, briefing on what happened and what his injuries were or are or whatever, which turns out they were all wrong. None of his injuries, they told me none of the injuries that they told me were the injuries that he actually had. So there was some miscommunication there. But anyway.
So they lied to you.
Well, they didn't lie. I just don't think
they didn't tell the whole truth.
Initial report.
They lied.
Right.
Well, I mean, there were 8 bodies that they were having to report about. All of them which were alive. And that was the first thing he said is, your husband is alive. And I was like, okay, then what the... And of course, at that point, they didn't know the status of his spine and they didn't know the status of his brain. They could only tell me what they saw. And so all they saw was that he was intact, which was enough for me, you know. And so then the rest of the weekend, my mother-in-law, Sheila, she flew out to California, and it was a whirlwind. And within 24 hours, not even, like 12 hours later, he was already in Germany. He had gone, by the time I got called, he had already left the battalion aid station in Fallujah for a battalion aid station in Baghdad. And then at some point or another from there went to the hospital in Balad, all within like 12 hours.
Yeah, because those locations are very close in proximity.
Yeah.
Very
and basically they just kept moving him because, okay, we can't treat him here. We've got to take him somewhere else. And then the next place says, we don't have the means enough to treat him here. So he ended up at Balad. And so from Balad, within another 12 hours, I would imagine, he was already in Germany, which is when they're injured in theater, their first, depending on the injuries, their first stop back to stateside is Germany, is Landstuhl Hospital. And so that's where he landed. And by then, by the time I talked to the doctors and nurses there, it was Sunday. And then my mother-in-law and I took a red eye from California to Houston Sunday night, Monday morning. And then it was Monday that I was able to finally speak to the actual physician who gave me the rundown of what the status was. Basically, he's got cranial pressure, all these things that he was telling me. He's on a ventilator, he's intubated, he's this, he's that, he's got a cranial pressure monitor, all of these things, but they still weren't exactly sure what the extent of his injuries.
Yeah.
And so he was like, he's set to fly out, be medevaced out Tuesday morning to go to the States, to Bethesda, to National Naval Medical Center. And I was like, okay, great. So I can meet him there. And he says, yes, the only reason that will keep him from flying out is if A, his cranial pressures are too high, where it makes it unsafe for the pressure of flying, or B, if he develops pneumonia. Now, by the time he got there, he was non-responsive. By the time he was found, he was non-responsive. He had labored breathing. He was, this is from the corpsman that worked on him at the blast site. Non-responsive, labored breathing, bleeding from his mouth, nose, ears, but otherwise not moving and not responding to anything, which is how he remained up until he got to Germany. So Tuesday morning, I get a phone call from the doctor saying Anthony did not fly out on the medevac flight. He developed pneumonia overnight. He had 2 chest tubes. He had a collapsed lung and then one that was having difficulty. So both had chest tubes.
So all the time, Ivonne, I don't mean to cut you off.
No,
the time, you're pregnant with AJ.
Correct. I was 20 weeks pregnant when I got the phone call. And so, long story short, the doctor, he said, in my experience, the best thing for someone in his condition to do is have family at the bedside as quickly as possible. I said, okay, so what are you telling me? He's like, you're going to be getting a phone call. They're going to put you on orders. They're going to fly you to Germany. I said, wait a minute. I'm 20 weeks pregnant. I'm not flying overseas by myself. So you better figure out a way to whatever, you know? And I said, okay. So before I even knew it, my mother, as soon as I told my mother-in-law that he was in Germany, and that he didn't medevac out, she and my father-in-law had booked flights for that afternoon to go to Germany. My dad booked a flight, and they ended up putting my mom on orders. So the 5 of us were on a plane Tuesday afternoon, 5 hours after I got the phone call, to Germany. And then we landed in Germany on Wednesday morning. We had to go take the parents to, I can't remember the name of the base right now in Germany, that they had to go to get emergency military IDs. And then after that, they took us to the hospital. We get to the hospital. We're met by his care team, and the doctor, who I'm also blanking about right now, said, why don't y'all come with me over here? He walked us into the chapel to basically brief us on what we were about to see. And he was like, he is non-responsive. He is intubated. He's got IV. He's got NG lines. He's got everything, nasal gastric lines. So they were feeding him. He's got a wire sticking out of his head, you know, whatever. I said, okay, can I just go and see him, please? And they're like, no, but Miss Thompson, I said, I don't care. Like, I just want to see Anthony right now. That's all that I care about. And so they took us back into the ICU. He was in an isolation room because when they come back overseas, they carry, you know, whatever bugs, I guess is the phrasing. And so we all had to gown up, glove up, mask, everything. And we went in there, and sure enough, he was, I mean, I have a picture somewhere of what I walked in on. And the thing that killed me is that, yes, I started crying, but it's like I didn't even care. All I cared about was the fact that I was physically there with him. That's all that I cared about. That's all that I cared about. And I stood there and I held his hand and I cried and I talked to him. And, you know, as the doctors just kept saying, just keep talking to him. Just keep talking to him. Because when anything happens, the last thing they lose is their sense of hearing. Just keep talking. And so that's what I did.
Wow.
So I just did it all.
I can imagine that even though, you know, he was non-responsive, I'm pretty sure he felt you as a calming voice at that time too, as well.
He better have.
You're right, exactly. He was waiting on his girlfriend to show up.
Right. That's the wrong woman. That's not who I wanted to be.
Right.
Yeah.
So we go. So not to make light of this situation, we're gonna change the process up to where we can kind of process some more stuff. So hold that in mind. So this is when you first saw him. So we'll come back with some more stuff. Yes. So we go.
Sorry, I have to throw in there. While I was in Germany, I was missing my appointment to find out the gender of said baby.
Were you worried about that?
I'm sorry. Yes. And so my mother-in-law, essentially behind my back, Sheila, behind my back, spoke to our military liaisons. And next thing I know, Thursday morning, when I got up to the hospital, I was with Anthony for about an hour. And then all of a sudden, my Navy liaison shows up and he's like, or no, my Marine Corps liaison shows up. And he was like, all right, Miss Thompson, you ready? I'm like, ready for what? He goes, you got to come with me. I said, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not leaving his side.
Right.
And he just kind of looked at me and he was like, well, do you want to find out the sex of the baby? And I went, wait, what? Took me down to ultrasound. The ultrasound technician there, like, I mean, I must have gotten like the whole roll of papers in pictures.
Yeah.
Just every angle you could possibly think of this child. And I think here's this one where it says boy. It says boy right there.
Okay.
And that's when I found out that we were having a boy, which is what I think, as any man, I think that's what he wanted. I mean, I don't really think he would have cared, but
yeah.
So yeah.
I can agree with that. Yeah.
I didn't even think about court-martialing your ass.
Do what?
What?
I bet they were thinking about court-martialing her ass to get up out of there. She was
right?
giving them hell. I know she was, man.
Yeah, no, she was on one.
A fight, and he was just trying to surprise me, I guess. Me, and I'm like, I'm not leaving. Like, figure it out because I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
And finally, he was just like, "Do you want to know what you're having or not?" And I was like,
right.
Okay.
Lady, ma'am.
Yeah.
We're not even gonna go to paying the bills, or we might not do. This one got to go because this story is very interesting. So I don't want to stop your flow in your process. What you're saying, and I think people are enjoying this. I am. So it's up to you if y'all want to go to it or not.
Why don't we shout out to some of the people that's commenting, and then we can go and get back to it. We'll just cut if one got to go. But like you have Shannon Allen, Jason Wiley, and other people. So let's,
everybody.
Curtis Earl, Denise, Kelly Graham, thank you all for chiming in. We really appreciate you viewing us tonight.
I know Kelly Graham. I don't know Kelly Graham.
And once, and once again, shout out to all of our veterans out there, and thank you for your service as well.
Yeah,
absolutely. And this is one thing, a different process of veterans. Instead of interviewing a veteran, I'm putting you in that same boat too, because you've gone through mentally a lot of things from the process from military. So this is an interesting story. This shows a whole different side of what is experiencing, of course, the caregivers or the ugly side of war, I guess you would say,
right,
in the process to where it's a whole different, and it's still going on for you with him now.
Every day.
So like you said,
answer Denise's question.
Yes, it was, Denise. It was an IED. It was technically a suicide vehicle-borne improvised explosive device. So, quick rundown of how he was injured. Anthony, he's a Navy corpsman. He was stationed and deployed with the Marine Corps, a Marine Corps unit. And on this particular mission that they were on, it was their job to identify low-lying vehicles going in and out of a certain area. In their training, low-lying vehicles carry explosives, et cetera, et cetera. So they had a makeshift outpost on the top of this overpass that went over a 6-lane highway, 3 lanes in either direction. And so their job was just to stand up there and yes, as Shannon said, Navy corpsmen are the medics for the Navy and the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps doesn't train their own medics. They're under the same umbrella as the U.S. Navy. Anyway, so they were standing up there. It was Anthony's squad. So it was Anthony Corpsman and 7 of his Marines. And Anthony had just gotten relieved of duty not that long ahead before the blast happened. He was lying down. He was resting when a dump truck that they estimated carrying 3,000 pounds of explosives drove under the bridge, detonated, and it took a giant chunk. Hey, Oscar. Sorry. A giant chunk off the bridge. All 8 men were thrown in different directions. Anthony was thrown straight up. He was lying down and fell straight down on the roadway under the bridge. And it hit just under his flak jacket, shattered his L2, and then with the blast and everything else, suffered a severe traumatic brain injury. So fast forward, after we find all of this out, they basically tell me he'll never walk again. And to that I said, so what? Like, doesn't change who he is. Like, I don't care if he'll ever walk again. And it wasn't until we got stateside that we found the extent of his brain injury, which was catastrophic. Totally changed who he is, but not who he is. Does that, if that makes sense? And so, yeah, so that's what happened. That's how he was injured. So what now? Where do I go from here?
Right.
Keep going.
Yeah. So, because
this is your story. This is your time.
But even in the process of you going through that and find out the extent of his injuries, to where you're a loyal person, where you stay dedicated to the process of being married.
Right.
Because of course you had a child coming also at the same time, so which needed a father.
Well, and I think honestly at that stage in the game, and finding out the initial injuries, to me it wasn't anything about being. I mean, yes, I was loyal and whatever, but that's not really. That's not even really what it was about. Like, I could have easily said, because I watched many wives do it in Bethesda, and leave the divorce papers on the table.
Right.
For me, it wasn't. Honestly, I didn't even know if it was going to be a long-term injury. I didn't. We didn't know at this point.
Yeah.
And so I just was going. I was in the mindset. You know what? I'm going to conquer this head on. This is my challenge. Challenge accepted.
And that's what I enjoy or want to know from different people going through different things. Like when did your mind say, okay, I'm taking this and I'm gonna run with it? Like when was your turning point when you said, I got this, I'm gonna do it?
My mother-in-law, we were in Bethesda, we were at dinner, and she said, Ivonne, I know this is hard. You're pregnant, you're about to have a baby, you're young, whatever. You're in for, it's a long haul situation. I completely understand if you want to throw in the towel, want to pursue your life and go about your life. Like, I get it. And I basically just told her, first off, don't ever fucking say that to me again. And I went to that place of love, and it may not have come out that way, but no, it didn't come out that way. I know how I deliver or do not deliver.
That's your favorite word, so we understand.
Yeah, but I was like, I'm not there yet. So we're not even going to talk about that.
Right.
And so we pushed forward. And I pushed forward. I was shoved into the military deep end, that's for sure. Yes, I was a military wife, but I knew nothing about acronyms and anything, not even military time. That was a very foreign concept to me. And so now I was literally shoved into the deep end, and then having to make all these decisions and talk to Colonel this and Admiral that and Sergeant. And as far as I'm concerned, like, yes, my husband's in the military, but guess what? I'm not.
Right.
So to me, you're just Joe Blow off the street that's here and is going to guide me in the direction that I have. So forgive me if I don't salute you or if I don't call you whatever, like, that's not my duty. My duty is to take care of my man and make sure that he gets what he needs. And that's what I'm here to do. He can't fight for himself, so I'd be damned if I'm not going to fight for him.
Yeah. He got the right one.
Yeah.
Got the right one, baby.
Like I said, my dad raised me not to keep I say my dad raised me not to keep my mouth shut, but let's be honest, like my dad and I, whatever. But he raised me to stand up for what I believe in. And he may not directly driven that point home, but that's basically what I got out of the way I was raised.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't going to back down from this. I was going to, like I said, just learn how to swim in that deep end because I wasn't going to go anywhere.
Yeah. So now, go ahead. Somebody want to say something?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, from this story, just as what you stated, you weren't gonna back down from it, and you've invested
Mhm.
a lot of time. You've been a part of a lot of things that are dedicated to what you've experienced in your life. And I wanted to start with you being a fellow of the Elizabeth Dole Foundation. Help
Yes.
us help us understand the work that you do with that foundation.
Well, currently it's not as much as I used to. However, I was in the inaugural like group of the Elizabeth Dole Foundation. We were the first group of fellows. She started a foundation to support caregivers, to make sure that, like there are so many organizations out there, so many groups that take care of our veterans. That's their main goal. That's their livelihood. That's their bread and butter. And a lot of times, especially with people in my husband's case that cannot communicate, cannot fight for himself, it's me. I'm the one doing it. So Elizabeth Dole was like, wait a minute, we have a need to be advocates and to be support for the caregiver so that they can continue that journey into however they decide to tackle it.
Mhm.
And so we worked on caregiver legislation, making sure that caregivers were legally given the right to certain respite protocols, that they are backed and supported in every aspect of the sense of life, essentially. They have programs for work, getting back to work once your caregiving duties, if your veteran gets to a point where he can be and you can go back to work, how do we get you there? You've been out of the race for so long. How do we get you back into that? All the while continuing to take care of you and continuing to make sure that your needs are met. They do job training, job fair. They do educational opportunities, all for the caregiver, which is great. There aren't many, if any, organizations that strictly focus on the caregiver. And it's a lot. It's hard.
I thought it also was pretty neat through this process. You've been able to work alongside of former First Lady Michelle Obama and current First Lady Jill Biden, correct?
Yes. So when we did our first caregivers conference with, not our first, the second, with the Elizabeth Dole Foundation, we lobbied, we boots on the ground, marched to every state representative in DC saying, we need you to back us. We need you to support us. And we need you to be able to be vocal in that support. Know that you are backing, let people know that you are backing us. So anyway, that whole week finished with former First Lady Michelle Obama and First Lady Jill Biden, basically saying, you know what, we're here for caregivers. And we got to visit with them. We got to have cocktails and nibbles at the White House, and I may or may not have stolen some napkins. But
Wait a minute. But why you picking napkins? Why you get something that you can sell?
You know what I'm saying?
Silverware. You expect me to stuff silver into my purse?
I'm messing with you. Some napkins. It's all good. I got you. I'm messing with you.
Thing I could take.
Yeah, buddy.
You get the least amount of time for that.
Yeah.
Buddy, you remember Training Day when the guy was at the restaurant telling Denzel the story? And he's like, so basically you sat down and had a full conversation with the former First Lady and the current First Lady, and all you have to tell me is that you stole some napkins.
It's true. It's true. That's the only thing that you can legally muster out of the building. They want you like dogs.
But you have them. A lot of people don't have them, so it's a whole different process. So you're good with that. So let's dig into some more things. Not just said about the military and what's going to happen with that. So where your life has still continued on to where you have you have this process in your life right here.
Yes.
This dude, AJ. So
Yes.
how old is AJ now?
He turned 14 in September.
14. Wow. And he's an avid baseball player.
Yes, sir.
He does. He's rocking and rolling in this
Yeah.
process.
Where is AJ? Tell AJ to come tell the people how. AJ,
Yeah, he know he is now.
get in here, AJ.
Oh, yeah, Bruce, you went to one of his games. AJ,
Yeah, he's a damn good baseball player.
he
AJ,
just said,
where
I
you at?
remember.
Yeah,
Come here, AJ.
yeah. Everybody
Pull up, AJ. Pull up.
Yeah, what are you doing? He combing his hair?
Oh my God, please be dressed. Okay.
Right. That's how he is.
Y'all, that go to man AJ. He in the building.
What's up, Flip?
Tell him to lean down so you see his face on the camera.
Yeah.
Oh, they said lean down.
Say
so
something
they
to the
can see
people, AJ. Say something to the people.
That's
All right, get up
Exactly.
out of here,
That's
AJ.
enough.
We done seen you. Bye. Get out of here, boy.
They
Nah,
made him
it's all
sit up for
good.
no reason.
It's all good, but
Yeah.
in going like your life is continued on, and you got a different process than most people.
Yeah.
And that's something that we all kind of see a little bit on the social media or talking to you and everything. So I give you all a secret to it. Every birthday of Ivonne or mine, we call each other. We talk to each other for sure 2 times a year. And we say we don't want to do that old punk ass instant message stuff on Facebook and all that. So we're gonna call and check on each other. So and we end up being another 45, 30 minute, 45, an hour long conversation about how are you doing type process.
Yeah.
And she motivates me quite often because of things that she has done and how her process, she's there now, to enlighten me and give me motivation by what she's doing. What are you doing now? So she's telling me all, like just the 2 things that TJ named. She has like a whole list of another 8 other organizations that you're a part of. But in saying that, you've gone on and you've shown different parts of your life also that are out there now, to where I'm waiting for this TV show or whatever this is you're going to do in this process, because the stuff that you are doing is amazing. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's cooking. And
Exactly.
I don't know if she cooks well or she takes good pictures.
It's both.
Maybe both. Okay. So y'all check these out. So this is
texture.
I think
It's texture.
yeah, it's a texture.
Presentation is everything,
So
man.
she's making homemade pizzas. She's doing stuffed bell peppers that look just amazing with some beans.
And now look at them red beans
with the big red
No,
beans.
those
It's the
black
big-
beans.
Those are black beans. See,
Black
sorry.
beans.
So and then you have the chicken, green beans, and the twice baked stuffed potatoes. Is that what that is?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm surprised I knew that. I learned that from going to beach.
But I don't see no
But then-
oxtail.
Man,
Nah,
I
but
see
you got the
salmon
salmon, the
and
cauliflower.
yeah.
and
man, and it's
pasta like
Veteran Day. Where the Navy beans at?
Wait.
But I don't see the oxtails though.
Excuse me. I do make an oxtail soup because I'm
Ooh,
Puerto Rican,
okay.
and we use oxtail in a soup, not a stew.
In a soup. Okay. Well, now we
can't
can't use them in a soup, Yvonne, because they're about $8 a pound now. And you know how the
Right. They high.
Dude,
Now,
I buy
we
like
already
one
catch up with
package.
the food stamp lady for that right
I
there.
buy one package and I add other meats, and I buy the one package just to get that little oomph, and I use the cheap meat for everything else.
But I'm waiting on this TV show because if you don't know Ivonne, and just if you get a chance to know Ivonne, it's the whole. She's very vibrant and just she says what's on her mind.
Charismatic.
You see that already. Very charismatic, and I can try to
Charismatic.
motivate her to try to figure out some kind of way to do a presentation for her cooking and
Well,
telling stories.
She's a Libra, man. What did you expect?
I don't know nothing about no Libra.
Yeah.
Like,
Third day. We got the same birthday.
we have the
Oh,
same
yeah.
birthday, Bruce and
That's
I.
a, yeah, that's, that, that
Oh,
was,
and
that was-
Halima. Halima's here.
Yeah, Halima
Halima
too.
also
Yeah.
has a birthday.
Exactly.
yeah.
Look,
Yeah,
Lima,
so,
we need to have a big dinner
Well,
party.
you know what,
It does.
Yvonne, so before it slips my mind, you know, I've been listening to your story, and you probably saw me wiping my eyes a little bit, and, you know, but we're going to blame it on my sinuses tonight.
Sinuses.
But it's real dear to me, and I guess the reason it's dear to me because my son is a Marine as of now or whatever. And you know, when you hear about Veterans Day, you hear about this, that, and the other, it just kind of hits a little different on you or whatever. So, you know, salute to you.
Yeah.
I just couldn't imagine, and that's probably one of my prayers. Of course, he haven't been deployed. He's somewhere probably playing PlayStation on base or something.
Probably.
You know, yeah. But y'all, I don't have corona. That was just a sneeze. But like he was saying,
Corona.
I got that booster shot the other day, so I don't have corona, y'all. That's just a sneeze. But like I said, that's very dear to me, because one of my prayers every night is for God to just keep him safe and really keep him over here or whatever. So, you know, that is very dear to me right there, because again,
You know,
I have a baby that's one.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that you said that, you know, it hits a little different, because that's exactly how it felt for me.
Mm-hmm.
Before I even met Anthony, or before we even got together, or before he even joined or whatever. Honestly, I knew my dad served in the military. I knew my grandfather served in the military, but it wasn't something happening to me at the time. You know what I'm saying? And so it was hard to relate.
Yeah. Right. And that's probably because my father served and my grandfather served. But, you know, really Veterans Day, you know, for us, Yvonne, was just you two, so don't front, and them two we was glad it was Veterans Day, because we knew a veteran and we could go in the Golden Corral and eat buffet, you know. That was better.
We never
going to the Golden Corral and eating that buffet, you know.
We never took advantage of any of that. We never took advantage of any of that.
You don't really want to go. Your
Well,
stomach be
You
hurt.
don't want to go on that now. You gonna be sucking on flies. You go up and Golden Corral.
Yeah, you go up in there now. You gonna get the corona.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
But I also in going forward, I admire you when you're still your own self, and you didn't let this whole process beat you up or to downplay you. And also, you've been an awesome mother. That's you're the new generation mother of a new generation, and I know it's not easy. But I'm looking at your eyes; it's not easy. But you're the right person for AJ to flourish, and you're chosen for that. You're not here by accident. So I want to tell you that you just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job. He's an outstanding young man. So
sometimes I don't feel like it. It's hard.
No, man, you classic. You classic. Believe me, you are classic. You are classic.
You're doing it, and I will applaud you for this. And that's why I told Bruce and TJ and Rev, I think back in January, I was looking at the calendar to see when dates would fall, and I already knew we wanted to get you on, but it fell just perfect on a Thursday. And I said, man, look, Veterans Day, we got to get Ivonne on, because it's a different side of the story of veterans, and we just with Anthony, just give him a salute to him, just applause to him also for just being strong enough to make it to where he is now, and to deal with you the whole time. It's a rough road. It's not easy, but we're all here praying for him, and also we're here for you also for whatever you need. And we know that AJ.
No, it's been past shows where I've commented. Y'all have talked about what it means to be a father and what that role is, and I commented into you guys, and I'm like, teach me how to be a mom and a dad, because that's what I have to do every day. I have to be the mom and the dad. And I know that I fall short in one or the other. I do.
Right. I'll say this here. Ben, don't break. You're going to have to be stern with him, because he's a young man. He's going to try you. He's going to test you in many facets. But don't you break. You get knee deep in his ass when you have to. And don't go around the corner crying because you had to do that. That's the way you're going to have to be with him. And I promise you, he's going to appreciate that much later on.
I appreciate it. My dad was no softie, and I thank God every day that he raised me the way that he did. I mean, it was hard then too, just growing up in a house with him sometimes. But
he'll be all right.
Yeah, he'll be okay. He's a strong kid because he's a strong mother and a strong father. So one last question is somebody, Denise asked, how is Anthony doing now? How is he?
He's good.
Okay.
He's good. He is non-communicative, so he can't verbalize. He is what they call 100% dependent on ADLs. ADLs is activities of daily living. So the things that you and I do without even thinking, brushing our teeth, feeding ourselves, showering, hell, wiping your own ass. Not that I wipe ass, but all of those things, he's having to have someone done for him. He's having to have them done for him.
Yeah.
So he can't verbalize, he can't do anything. He's wheelchair bound. That being said, he has gotten to where he can communicate through eye blinks, one long blink for yes, two for no. And I rely on that for his needs. I ask him questions all the time, and I have to sometimes reward them because I forget that they have to be yes, no questions.
Yeah. So how many blinks is for hell no?
That would be, he just closes them and it's like, I'm not even playing with this. Like, I'm done.
Because I know I know that happens often with you.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah. That how often it happens.
He's a very tolerant man.
Yeah, he's patient. He's patient, very much so.
As I've said for a long time, he's the strong, silent type.
Silent one. So Ivonne, we've been here an hour and 1 minute, and I hate to cut this off, but this story go on and on. But tell us something that you want everyone to know.
There are people, veterans, caregivers, spouses, kids that are constantly fighting a battle of some sort, whether it be physical, whether it be emotional, whether it be, they're fighting some battle. Compassion. Be compassionate. Be kind. Know that your words do affect people. Mm-hmm. I have had to shut down people who think they can say it in Spanish and get away with whatever they're disrespecting. Hate to bust your bubble there, sis, but I speak Spanish too. And I come out in Spanish and I fire their asses down because I don't tolerate it.
Tell them, Ivonne, and tell them, 4 black guys who will pull up and beat their ass.
Right? But no, like, just all the time, people without thinking. Yeah. Parents who quickly usher their kids in a different direction because there's a guy in a wheelchair. These are the types of things that I've dealt with my son in tow, at the time, my 2-year-old in tow, and people ushering their children around because, a big scary man in a power wheelchair. And the kids are staring. Kids are inquisitive. So let's educate our kids. Let's educate them on what it means to have physical, to have mental disabilities and setbacks and challenges. Not just the person, but the people that love that person. Mm-hmm. Because it affects everybody. Those challenges, those physical, those emotional, all of those things don't just affect the veteran that is injured, but it affects their family. Oscar. It affects their families. It affects the people that love them most. So just be kind and compassionate and know that everybody has some sort of challenge, right? Not just veterans. Everybody has something that's going on.
Right.
That's Everybody, before we go, buddy, I know we're trying to end this thing, but I want to do something a little bit different, something we didn't prepare for. But in honor of Veterans Day, I heard Rev mention it about his father, grandfather, Ivonne, her husband that we've been speaking of, and her father and grandfather. But just for everybody on this panel right now, before we go, shout out an individual that's a veteran and also the branch of the military that they were in. And Ivonne, we'll start with you.
I've got Anthony, my husband, who's U.S. Navy. Alan Thompson, who is Anthony's father, who has passed, but he was United States Marine Corps. My grandfather, Manuel Antonio Rodriguez Perez, who has also passed, he was U.S. Navy. And my father, Genaro Fernando Estrada, who was U.S. Army.
Rev.
Okay.
Yeah, when it come to me,
Oh, can I say one more person? Sorry, because
Yeah,
Sure, go ahead, Ivonne.
Shannon is shouting out hers that I loved him too, and that's Mark Allen, who is Shannon's husband, who passed 2 years ago. Who 3 years ago? 2 years ago.
She'll tell you in a minute.
Sorry, Shannon. You'll tell me in a minute. But shout out to Mark. We miss him a whole bunch. Continue,
Good,
Red.
good deal. Go ahead, Real.
yeah, well, again, with me, my father, my grandfather, and serving now, like I said, my son, baby James, Marine Corps. So salute to those guys and to all the other vets.
Yeah.
Buddy B-Dub, anybody y'all want to shout out?
Yeah, I want to shout out my cousin Rashawn Ferguson, also my cousin Keith Ferguson. Both of them are Navy. My brother-in-law Dedrick Calhoun, who was Army, and my cousin. It's so many in my family, man. Y'all already know who y'all are. It's so many of them that serve. I just want to shout out everybody out. I can't go down the list to take away too much time.
Halima, her dad, Denise, my husband, and whoever else that is, I can't say that name. So it's so many.
Looks like Curtis, right now, Jason Wiley, Charles Chesterfield, Marine Corps. Right, Denise and her husband, Halima, her father. Also, Halima mentioned Trey too. Buddy, who you got? Anybody you want to shout out?
So my grandfather was in the Air Force, and it's a funny story. He's in the Air Force directing planes in, but he couldn't hear too well, and I wondered why, because they didn't give him. He didn't wear the earplugs, so he just wouldn't. So that's why BC couldn't hear. You talk to him, huh? You know all that stuff, but it was his fault. But but I have tons of friends also. TC Russell. Veterans. It's a lot of people I know that's been.
Man, we forgot, man. We hadn't seen him in a while, but we got to shout out Chris Willis, because Chris Willis did serve in the Navy.
K. Will.
Absolutely, K. Will.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I want to give a shout out to my grandfather, John Bond, served in the Army, as well as my father, Bobby Harris, served in the Navy as well. I want to give them a shout out for their service also. Yeah,
the military is very prevalent in the United States, and people that we know. It's kind of hard to to go around and not know somebody who served. You know, Steve Tillerson, a guy I work with, him as a vet. So just, if you think about it for a second, you just start naming off names left and right. But I can say, Ivonne, we appreciate your service. And salutes out to you to where you're holding up the other end of it, and we really appreciate that, and just giving us motivation and seeing what it should be done like. And can't think of anybody better to do it and who has done it besides you. So I want to give you your, as we say, flowers, but I'm going to give you your big kidney red beans tonight to say thank you. Yeah, put texture on it. Yeah, exactly.
I forgot, man. I got some other people too. I'm gonna send them out. Shout out my little cousin Chris Green up at Fort Hood, him and his family, and also my little cousin Zachary Huffman. And that's it. That's it, man. Navy and
shout out to Ivonne. That's what we shout out to tonight, and we really appreciate all you're doing. And we love you to death. And keep it up. If you need anything from us, from me, from anybody on here, or anybody else, just let us know. ASAP. We're here for you. Absolutely. So we love you much.
Is baseball season over with for AJ already?
What's that?
Is baseball season over with for AJ?
He's got one last tournament this weekend.
Okay. We might have to make that move.
Yeah.
I'll call you, Bruce and TJ and Phil.
Yeah.
You might show up. And Phil said we probably pull up.
Hey, as a matter of fact, when we pull up, tell somebody in the crowd to go on and get irate and honor it in and see what happens then.
Yeah,
I'm going to let Michael do all the talking.
AJ. Come on, AJ. You want to say something? Come on, say something, AJ. This your time to shine. You want to say something?
Hi.
Get on up out of here, AJ.
AJ, I need a cycle this weekend.
Yeah. It's for a cycle.
I need a cycle this weekend.
funny.
in this tournament. Yeah. It doesn't have to be the same game, but I need all 4 of them.
I think you can handle it.
Hey man, y'all
Yeah.
know what?
So let's see if Ray got his music fixed.
I can get a single and double.
Y'all hear the music?
You can get it.
We gonna do it a little different this time.
I hear
Y'all
the
hear the
drummer.
music?
Yeah.
Hey man, that's been our time. That's been our time.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Heroes prove.
Man, that's when the TV station going off at night.
It is what
Hey,
it
man.
is, show.
Why I feel like we the Sandlot now, man?
Y'all say what you want to say, but this is America, baby. The land of the brave and the proud, the free around here. And we want to thank Ivonne. We want to thank all the vets and the military people out there. Because we know what, y'all, that America is what?
Beautiful.
America, y'all thank a vet today.
Oh,
Y'all
man.
thank a vet today. Thank you, baby James, for serving. Thank you all the vets. Thank
Hey, man,
you
cut the radio along up,
for
man.
serving. Thank all the vets out there and all the current military people. Bub, get us up out of here. Let it go just a little longer, Bub.
Okay. You gonna sing for us?
Say what, y'all?
Hey. Oh, beautiful.
Get us up out of here,
Nah.
Bub.
Nah.
Spacious sky.
Yeah. Who's talking?